Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Skaters on Baseball, and we're live. I think this is our first live show in 2025. Christian, how are you? First and foremost, those fires look insane down in LA. I know you're kind of out of reach, but how's the air? Like, what can you report?
It's a little out of hand. It's real smoky. There's a lot of ash coming down. And it's really sad. There's over 5,000 structures that have burned down. A lot of people lost their homes, lost everything they had. And on top of it, anytime there's a big wildfire, for me, my first thought is about the wildlife, the animals, man. Like, I get bummed. So yeah, it's pretty rough down here, and no thanks to the people in charge, because they've just completely dropped the ball and made this thing way worse than it could have been. However, I'm fine. Everything's pretty chill around here, and aside from my eyes and nose burning, it's all good.
Well, I did just get a what's up, Babe Rocks? I did just get a news break. We don't have our audio yet, but news break. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has avoided arbitration with a $28.5 million one-year contract with the Blue Jays. Now, that doesn't mean they can't trade him still, but he's locked in.
So he's locked in for 2025 with Toronto, basically.
Yeah, and Framber Valdez did the same in Houston, and then earlier today, the Giants did it with Wade, Rogers, and Doval. And those guys all made like $4 or $5 million each. That wasn't too much. So I'm wondering if they were waiting to get the arbitration handled and then start figuring out a trade, if that's even the route they're going to go.
Well, they were probably looking at Vlad pretty closely, and then once he does that, then it's easy to react and say, okay, we'll stand pat for one more year. So we'll see what happens in 26 with that guy, I guess.
Yeah, we shall see. But the big name, the big news, Justin Verlander has not officially signed with the Giants because that pending physical is still at large. I'm guessing tomorrow we'll hear about the physical in a press conference soon. But let's get into this, because depending on which way the wind blows, you got a lot of people on two sides of the fence, and most people are on kind of the negative Nancy fence, it looks like to me, which I'll let you go first, but I'm kind of into this. So I'm wondering what your thoughts are.
Well, the other night I get a one-word text from you, Verlander, and
wasn't Upton.
Yeah, and my immediate gut reaction is I'm not a big Verlander fan, never have been. About the only time I was a fan of Verlander is when he coughed up 2 home runs to Sandoval in the World Series, right? So, it's a weird deal. 15 mil for 1 year is a lot. And he's going to be, 42, I think? Something like that.
42, yes, he'll be 42. He's 41 right now. And he's 4 years removed from a Tommy John, 3 years removed from a Cy Young, and 2 years removed from not too bad of a year. And then last year was, he had injuries. He had some bad, I think he had 17 starts or something, and his ERA was kind of up and his strikeout rate's down. He's given up more home runs, yada, yada, yada. But I'll tell you something right away is Minute Maid Park is a lot different than Oracle Park, okay? The balls fly out of Houston, man. Yeah. It is not going to be like that in San Francisco. The first thing that came to my brain, and just because I'm like, dude, here's how I felt instantly. I'm not a huge Verlander fan. It's not like, but I know who he is. I feel like he's a star. I respect his career. He brings some star power to a team, and he also has a lot of what I would call, you can't put a price on, experience. Him sitting on the bench next to Logan Webb. Logan Webb's going to get better. Him sitting next to Birdsong's going to get better. And I know, like, well, they already have pitching coaches. And what about this guy? What about that guy? It's not the same as having a 3-time Cy Young Award winner, a future Hall of Famer, a guy that's pitched in the World Series, an MVP. This guy has more accolades than anybody. It's pretty cool to have him for 1 year. It reminds me of Randy Johnson. That's a lot of people are comparing it to that. It reminds me of Steve Carlton. And I wasn't mad with either of those things. And the one and done, no opt out, no weirdness. It's like, this is what it is. You're rolling the dice. I'm okay with it. I think that they're going to look at this guy's physical and they're going to be able to determine if this is a good or bad idea. And my thoughts are, it must be a good idea. They're not going to just do something stupid like, oh, he's injured, let's risk it. It's like, he's probably in good shape. He's probably feeling good. But the one thing I want to say real quick is I've been having a real issue with KMBR, man. And it's been like a year or two where these guys just come on the air. They talk all day about the 49ers, no matter what season is, no matter what's going on. It's Niner, Niner, Niner. They're the fucking Giants flagship station, and they barely can squeeze a Mike Krukow interview in each day. That's about all I can count on for Giants talk. We're going into spring training. We got Adamas. There's this roll of kind of cool shit going on. Verlander, blah, blah, blah. And what does KMBR do? They put a fucking social media thing up of Pablo hitting a home run off of him and saying, welcome to San Francisco. Like, what are you doing? Yeah, I mean, I even saw Logan Webb called him out. Logan Webb's like, what's the point of this? What are you guys doing?
Yeah. Well, I think we could both agree that the KMBR social media staff is pretty tone deaf and not really with it, especially when it comes to Giants stuff. That being said, since I've been on a listening boycott for how many years now? I'm just curious, has Murph turned the water boy yet, or is Marcus still kind of solid?
No, I like Marcus. I think he's cool. And now Marcus moved to Potrero Hill, so he's in the city. And that adds a cool dynamic because he's like, I was walking to the game the other day. And that dude is out all the time. He goes to Warriors games, Giants games. Like, he's doing it. He's the single guy. You know, Murph's older. He's probably like older than I am. And he's my kid in Marin. Like, that's all he talks about. But I want to take time to address Eric. Because I love you, man, but I differ with you on this. I differ with you a lot on this, and I'll tell you why. It's not the first take that he will be a great mentor. The first take is he's a star with a lot of upside still. He's 42 years old. Yes, he did win a Cy Young Award coming off of Tommy John. Buster Posey, I think, has probably better idea on what he can do than any of us do. And I have faith that Buster's like, I'll roll the dice, 15 million 1 year. I'd way rather do this than give Flaherty a 3 or 4 or even more year contract. And that's what it was down to. It was either get Flaherty, get Scherzer or Verlander, or do nothing pitching wise, try to make a trade or whatever. I think they can still make a trade if that's your answer. This doesn't block that. And I think that Verlander, let's just say that the Giants, let's be optimistic real quick. Let's say the Giants there's a chance we might sneak into the playoffs this year. We got fucking Verlander on the team. Yeah, he's got a lot of experience. He's cool and collect. He knows how to pitch. He might have lost his strikeouts, but he's got control. He understands that each pitch is important, that he's not going to walk people a lot. There's a lot of upside to this guy. And I'd way rather have him than Scherzer. So that's
just about to say between the two, I would take Verlander over Scherzer. I think Verlander's put together better. I think he's stronger. He's bigger. I think in terms of durability, both these guys being right about the same age, I got to take Verlander. His chick's hot. Their iCloud photos got hacked a couple of years ago. It was all out there. This, look, the mentorship is valuable. I think it's very valuable, but I do think that he is going to have value as a starting pitcher, right? And
absolutely.
maybe he graduates into coming out long relief out of the pen if the young guys really get fired up, right?
I don't see that happening. I think he's trying to extend his career so he can get the 300 wins. He's 38 wins away from 300. And so, if he can fit 3 years of whatever that is, 13 wins, that's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy, but I think that's why he still wants to play at 42. The other thing I would argue, these are two important points that I think people are overlooking. I don't think that this is a, wow, we got Verlander move. It's a nice addition. The wow is we got Adames. Let's not forget that we got Willy Adames, and he came to us very early, but he is still a huge piece for this organization. The other thing is, like, I don't know, what do you want? Like, what do you guys want? Do you want to just always shit on everything? Does everybody just want, like, whatever happens, they want to be devil's advocate? Because I don't hear a lot of Stoke ever. And so I'm just curious, like, do you think we're going to somehow get Trey Turner or Bryce Harper or Ohtani? Like, what are you guys thinking that is going to make you happy? That's a huge question for me.
Yeah. Well, Burns probably would have made everybody happy, but not on those terms, right? I mean, those terms, when I looked at that deal that Arizona signed with him, I'm like, I'm glad the Giants didn't go in for that, right? It's like, if you're going to go out and you're going to invest that kind of money in a guy of that quality, there's no doubt that he's one of the best in the game. You want to have to be like worrying about him opting out after 2 seasons if you sign him to a 6-year deal. That's bullshit. That's just not how it's done. You look at the biggest superstars, these guys are signing long-term deals, right? And they're not getting opt-outs. I mean, Bryce Harper doesn't have an opt-out, right? Trey Turner doesn't have an opt-out. I mean, these things are all, I don't know, it's a moot point now, but I think that Burns deal wasn't going to be good for the Giants as an organization.
No. And the other thing too is, Eric, I got this too. I mean, I mentioned this before, but like, I don't know if this was at all part of the strategy, but Roki Sasaki has to be looking at the Padres organization right now and saying, I want nothing to do with that, right? The owners suing each other and all this craziness that's going on. There's been racial slurs. There's a lot of problems for the San Diego Padres in that organization. It's not somewhere where somebody who wants to grow and do this awesome thing, I don't think he wants any part of that. So I'm thinking San Diego is kind of a wash now.
Could be.
We got a pitcher's ballpark. We got Buster Posey. We got Bob Melvin. We got one of the best catchers in the game now, Patrick Bailey. And we have a Hall of Famer and 2 guys that have won Cy Young Awards, and Logan Webb, who's a top 5 pitcher every year. I don't know. To me, we're looking a little spicy. I kind of want to put some pepper on us and throw us in the oven. I mean, we're hot, baby. Let's go. Yeah. Roki's coming.
Yeah. And I think the whole San Diego situation, I mean, obviously we don't know all the details, just sort of this sordid, dirty laundry that's been floating out there. But, it potentially could lead to sort of a fire sale in San Diego where they're like, whatever the legal ramifications are of what's going on with these interpersonal dynamics. Okay, they may try to slash payroll and start unloading guys in trades, unbalanced trades, just to get their payroll down if things get really ugly, right?
Well, they did sign Cease today for a year.
Yeah, a year.
I thought they were going to try to start dumping. So I heard they were dumping him. So that was interesting to me.
Well, maybe it was one of those things where they were looking for that unbalanced trade and couldn't really clear the books and make it worthwhile to lose him, right? Sure. So who knows? That whole thing's up in the air. But yeah, it's one of those things where, like, Roki Sasaki, who knows where he's going to land? Verlander, we already know where he landed, and we're good with it. You know, I think it's cool. And what I feel like now is it's like, let's go find another bat, maybe. Right?
Yeah, I think that's what we're all waiting for. George has a great point here too. I mean, he's a great trade piece if we're not making the playoffs at the end of the year. Like, we need players to build what are we trying to do, guys? We're trying to build our minor league, our farm system. You get some guys that are stars and you don't make the playoffs. We're not going to pull a Farhan this time. We're going to dump these guys and we're going to get draft picks. And I think that's probably part of the thinking on, you got Willie Adames, he lost 2 picks. Maybe that was a big part of not really wanting to go all in on Burns also. It's like, you want to lose 4 picks in the same year. We don't know what's going on with Burns. His wife had twins and they live in Arizona and there's taxes. Like, I'm hearing so many goddamn TMZ rumors that I don't know what to believe, but he ain't coming. Burns is not here. I would have loved Burns. We all would have. But the way it was going to happen, and Scott Boras to me is ruining baseball just like Ohtani is. It's just like all these different things that are happening that never used to happen. It's really sad. I feel like even this Roki Sasaki thing is going to mess up the international stuff for other teams because everyone's waiting to do their international to wait to see what Sasaki does. And it's a mess. We need a window. I've been begging for this forever. We need a small window where all this stuff happens and it's just like excitement. And then we go to Fan Fest and then we go to spring training and then it's opening day. And that's how we get through the depressing January, February that follows the holidays, because we're all depressed. It's the shortest days of the year. It's dark early and there's fires everywhere. So what the hell? I mean, I don't know. Does Sasaki say, I don't want to go to Fire World? Like, I don't know.
Well, a lot of people don't want to go to California if they got to pay California taxes, but that's the whole deferment deal.
The closest place
listen,
to Japan.
I'll tell you, one thing that's not better than a window for trades is this whole idea of forcing starting pitchers to go 6 full.
Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, they're talking about it now. It's this whole idea. And there are caveats. If you give up more than so many earned runs or you throw over 100 pitches, then you can pull a guy. But they're talking about, stop messing with the game, right? They're already they're going nuts with this shit. So,
hey, Rocks, you're speaking my language, man. Japanese, Chinese, English, whatever it is. Put Ohtani in prison.
Yeah. Degenerate gambler, tax evader. If he jumps into the wife beater category, he's a perfect Dodger, right? He's 3 for 3.
I was really surprised, joyfully surprised, that Ohtani is not on the front of the new Topps cards. 2025 just released their packs and their box, and the cover is Aaron Judge. And to me, that's a slap in the Dodgers' face. Like, Ohtani's been on the cover when he was on the Angels, but I'm happy about that. I hate to say it, but I got no love for Ohtani after all the stuff he's been doing. He's a great player, but he doesn't have any style for me. He's not like Judge is. Like, he has this thing about him, an aura. Ohtani's just good, but he's boring to me.
Yeah, totally. I like this right here. The recovery.
At least we get to watch Verlander pitch. It makes the team less boring. Who doesn't want to tune in and see Verlander? Exactly.
Absolutely. It's the same reason you would go to Oracle if the Dodgers were playing there and Kershaw was pitching, right? You want to see Kershaw pitch. You love baseball. You want him to get lumped up, but it's kind of seeing a once in a lifetime, once in a generation type guy. It's exciting.
And we haven't even got to the part where I'm like walking around the whole stadium looking for Kate Upton. Come on, this is like hide and go seek time, man. This is fun. 7th inning stretch. Let's go.
Yeah.
Don't be bummed, guys. Look, it's 1 year. Did you think the Giants were going to make the playoffs this year? Honestly, And do you think Buster should be ridiculed after 2.5 months of being in the office? Like, this shit takes time. He's making moves. He's getting comfortable. He's learning. He's getting his staff. Like, there's a lot going on.
Yep.
Let's enjoy this year, whether it's the young guys, whether it's a Hall of Famer. We're trying to put things that you want to go see. I do not understand just throw everyone away and let's do a complete rehaul. It's like, if I wanted that, I'd just go to Sacramento and watch the River Cats. Like, yeah. I don't need that at my stadium where I'm paying big dollars to see pro players. You're going to see 15-0 games that way. I don't want to see that. The Giants are always competitive. They're a 500 team. People think that's horrible, but it's always 4-3, 5-2, 2-1. Like, they're good games. We might lose, but at least it's competitive, and we love baseball, so it's still baseball. And to me, that's what I'm here for.
Absolutely. And I think we're living in a society that's increasingly impatient and attention deficit oriented. And you and I both agreed at the end of the season this last year, we need a new GM. Priority one. It's got to happen. Farhan's got to get fired. And then we knew no matter what they did and who they brought in, even before Buster came on as the president of the baseball operations, it's like we knew that 2025 was going to be somewhat of a rebuild year anyway. They had to go out, they had to sign some talent, they had to really look at the farm system and the prospects and kind of weed out the guys that weren't ever going to make it. And these utility platoon players that just really weren't making San Francisco a winning team. And I think it takes a season to get past that and clear the chaff out, right? So, I mean, I'm as impatient as anybody. I want the Giants to freaking win the division every year. I mean, I'm not going, oh yeah, let's aim for 500 ball. I want a winning team, but I do understand that just the dynamics of the division and just the nature of the free agent market, it's going to take more than 1 year to get there. Could the Giants skim in on a wild card this year? Maybe. I don't expect it. I don't predict it. It is possible. But I think what's more important is to see how the organization develops and kind of grows through this after this 6 dark years.
Yeah. And Eric, I think you have a good point there. Here lies the problem. Verlander reeks of Farhan, and people want to forget him, agree that it will take another year or two longer when waiting on the farm because it's going to take a few years. We don't know how this new regime is going to handle past experiences. So even if it smells like Farhan, it doesn't mean that the same actions are going to happen. And case in point, Snell should have been traded. We look back and say, well, why wasn't he traded? Now we look back, but we love the no-hitter, right? So it's like, But Verlander, I think if we get to the trade deadline and we're not going to make the playoffs, maybe he gets us some farm pieces. Maybe this new regime handles things differently. Like maybe Farhan was doing some things kind of right, but he wasn't doing other things right. And those can all flip out. While we're speaking about this, though, I do think that it is time to shit on Farhan. That's right, everybody. It's shit on Farhan time. And listen,
he got a new job, right? Doesn't he have a new job?
If you thought he wasn't cooking before, he sure ain't cooking still, because this is what turned up in the feed earlier.
Hey, that's my Uber Eats delivery guy right there.
There you go, baby. Farhan Zaidi with some garlic knots. And that's our favorite segment, Shit on Farhan. Now back to the local programming.
Nice. Oh, man. Baseball. Thank you, man. Thanks. We're just having fun talking about our favorite pastime aside from skateboarding. And yeah, thanks for being here. Stoked.
Yeah, and if you guys like, we got 15, like Eric was saying, we got 15 people watching the show. If you can hit the like button, and if you're not subscribed, please do that. Apparently, I don't know a lot, but apparently that helps the show grow, and that's what we all want. We want more, people camaraderie and more people talking and getting your opinions. We're so down for you guys to give input and give us news and all that kind of stuff. It's been super fun. So yeah, PMG delivery for Mr. Sandoval. I love it.
And I'll just date myself by saying, I'm Alan Hamill with Alpha Beta, and tell a friend.
Oh,
that takes you back a minute, right?
What year was Alpha Beta out of biz?
Dude, Alpha Beta was gone by like 81, I want to say, possibly.
Val Ramos. What's up? Does anyone ever say vamos? Vamos? Val Ramos. Vamos. Like
vamos.
I don't know. Vamos. It's probably too easy. That one's probably too obvious.
Yeah. So I want to address one little thing. So I didn't really have time to clock into Giants Sports Talk Live the other night, but I did see the teaser thumbnail, which was talking about, is this the year for Matos? And I'm curious, did you chime in on any of that content? Maybe Eric can fill us in a little bit. I've always been a Matos fan, so I saw that. I was like, oh yeah, man.
Did you not see what happened? He won the Rookie of the Year award in the Winter League, and he cut his strikeouts way down. He had like 10 home runs. He had a really good, it was unanimous -1 that he was Rookie of the Year. So he had a phenomenal Winter League. And yeah, we're huge Matos fans. Come on. But you know what else we're huge? Grant McCray. So don't sleep on him. I know he's in Hawaii right now getting loose up because he's got a big year ahead of him. He's going to shock the world and reduce that strikeout rate and steal. What was he predicting? I can steal 45 bags. Like that dude's awesome, man. I love his attitude. He's not shy at all. He's got some confidence, and I think the outfield could be really good. Yaz is, to me, the Yaz factor, right? It's like, I hope he's the fourth outfielder at best, but I mean, the way the Giants have always done it, and hopefully it's different now, but the way they've always done it is they've put the high-profile guys in starting on opening day. If you pay Yaz to be the guy, no matter how he's playing, he starts off. They give him that chance. I'm hoping that the spring shows some other people that are like, wait, we can't overlook this. Look how good these guys are playing. I mean, I think Ramos last year could be Matos this year,
It's possible. What I'd really like to see is, I'd like to see Yaz be the 2025 equivalent of what Juan Perez was in 2014, right? Juan Perez was a late innings defensive replacement, guy with speed, guy who played great defense. He didn't have much of a bat until he clanged one about 3 inches away from being a home run, right? And I mean, it's that idea that, like, okay, if you got some elite defensive skills, but maybe your bat is not keeping up with that, dude, it's perfect for late inning games. You're trying to preserve a 1 or 2 run lead, I mean, look at the outfield depth for the Giants. Youth, okay, but we got Lee out there, right? We got Ramos if they choose to keep playing him in the outfield as opposed to moving him to the DH spot. You got Matos, who showed signs of brilliance last year, and I don't think they gave him a long enough leash in San Francisco to see if he could come out of that slump, right? And we got McCray in the wings. And I mean, that's all good shit right there,
And so, even Fitzgerald can play in the outfield if he has to.
He can. He can.
So there's a lot of what I like about this team that's coming is, and this is why I think we really need to get rid of Wade and Wilmer, is we have a lot of pieces that can move around. Casey Schmidt, if he's around, he can play second or short or third. Like, these guys are able to move around, and most of them are athletic. And that's where Wilmer and Wade scares me. That's why when people ask me, who would you rather lose, Yaz or Wade or Wilmer? I would keep Yaz. If I had to keep one of those three, I would keep Yaz. I like Wade. I love Wilmer. I love Wade actually too, but their knees are a problem and they're slow and they can only play really, I don't really want Wilmer playing defense, to be honest with you. And Wade he's picked it up as a first baseman. I got to give it to him. He wasn't that good in the beginning. He was an outfielder and he's playing a pretty good defensive first base, but man, I would just love to get, I don't know who can we get now? Like who is it? Pete Alonso really even a thought? Does anyone truly believe that Pete Alonso is brewing, like that could be, he could be coming to the Giants? I just don't see him as, I think he's really great and he's a power hitter, but I don't see him being the guy that's going to fit in the Giants system the way. What we're looking for is more of a 5-tool player, basically. Like we're looking for an athlete, a guy that can run, a guy that can score from second base on a hit to the outfield, a guy that can make contact with the ball when there's a guy at third and less than 2 outs. Like these are the things that the Giants really struggled with.
Fundamentals.
Their bullpen is mental. I think their bullpen is going to come out like, especially if Hicks goes to the bullpen after like half a season or whatever that takes. Dude, I love our bullpen. And that's even if they get rid of Duvall, but like Rodriguez, Walker, Miller. It's just, I don't know. Rogers, I don't like Taylor Rogers, but Casey Schmidt at first base. I heard Fitzgerald first base and Giants should get Bregman to play second. And then I also saw, why don't they trade for Bichette and have Bichette play second? And they keep talking about Fitzgerald playing first. I don't know if you can just put a guy at first. Like, I don't doubt that he could do it, but I think it would be not the best beginning of the season with him at first.
It's an interesting idea, but his cannon of an arm is kind of wasted at first base, right? I mean, that's the one thing about Schmidt, that like his arm is out of hand. He could probably pitch, right? I mean,
you want Casey at third or short.
Yep.
And the other thing I read too was Alonso is asking for 6 years. So to me,
I saw
especially with the promise of Eldridge that we keep hearing about, which I don't put any money into that until I see it, but I don't think the Giants are going to go 6 years for Pete Alonso. I really don't, especially with some of these guys next year that we keep talking about it, but God, how good would Kyle Tucker be on the Giants?
Yeah.
If next year they can just throw all the money in the world at him, because this year they see, here's what I wonder, and this is just me being optimistic, but is Greg Johnson like, we're going to stay under the taxes this year because next year we're going to get penalized because we're going all in. And we don't want to get penalized 2 years in a row because that's a triple fine or whatever. But next year we will land Vladimir Guerrero or Tucker. Like that's our mentality. I'm good. Like I'm all in on that.
So do you take Tucker as a DH or do you take Tucker? Because the outfield depth is kind of crazy, and at that point,
Tucker outfielder for sure.
Okay. So then,
good.
So then somebody gets pushed out for sure.
Ramos or Yaz will be gone.
Look at this. Look at what we got. We got our first Dodgers fan in here.
BC, you found us. Hey, are you okay down there?
Yeah,
you got put a gas mask on, man. I hope you're okay. Like it's looking like apocalypse now down there. It's scary. Or are you a transplant that's not in LA, but some reason you like wearing the team's hat that won the World Series the previous year? I mean, if you're a bandwagon guy, then you're on the right bandwagon because you're in our chat. So I see what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, we did have a Dodgers fan on the podcast last year, Salva's son. So
that's right.
Might have to bring another one in this year.
Baseball.
What I want to know, BC, is do you have one of those shirts or one of those hats that shows the 5th inning graphic from the World Series? because that's the hot commodity right now. I think that's really funny, actually.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it shows the Fox graphic with the bases and all that. It shows the 2 outs, 5th inning, bases loaded. Like, yeah, it's hilarious. They're selling hats, shirts, everything. It's great.
They should do the graphic. Otani is batting in three batters.
Now he's batting in what, like 2.5 months?
Baseball asks, where do we play Eldridge if we get Vlad? Dude, if you have problems like that, it ain't a problem. Like,
Right.
We'll figure it out. DH, Eldridge can play in the outfield. Vladdy can DH. They can share time at first and share time at DH. I'll take both those guys. I ain't like saying let's not get Vladdy because there's this guy that's young and he's supposed to be the next good thing. Like, Vlad is a good thing. Put him in if he's down,
And here's the thing about that particular question is, let's say you get Vlad, and let's say you sign Vlad to like a 6-year deal. Eldridge becomes a super valuable trade chip if you really want to go that route, because look at the Giants were trying to get some guys in trades this offseason, and the other teams were like, well, if Eldridge isn't part of the deal, we're out. So that tells you already that like he's a hot commodity amongst a lot of teams around the league. They're interested. And the Giants definitely don't want to let him go at this point, because what kind of value are you going to get on your return? Not much. So but that's something to think about.
The Giants are getting poo-pooed on, as they say over at the other thing. The East Coast never sees the Giants because they're asleep while the Giants are playing. The Giants farm system is not the worst, and we have a lot of young talent, especially in pitching. Like, our starting pitchers alone, we have a plethora of guys that could be in the, let's say, in the third. You could push them right into a 3-hole as a starting pitcher on a lot of teams. I think Birdsong, I think Landon Roop, I think Keaton Wynn. If we want to trade Kyle Harrison, he's got the most value. There's a lot of pitchers, especially for a team that already has Webb, Robbie Ray, Verlander, Hicks, and then that 5 spot, which they're given to Harrison right now, but let's see what spring training shows, because Birdsong's not going to just give it to Harrison. Roop's not going to give it to Harrison. Like, these guys are going to be competitive, and that's the beauty of this. I think you get the best out of these young guys because there's only one spot. So, yeah, the media is trying to gaslight the Giants.
I don't know if it's
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think what I learned over the years, and especially now that there's so much baseball media out there with social media and all the so-called baseball writers sort of just throwing things out there, like John Heyman's a prime example, but even the MLB Network. I mean, a lot of those people on there, they're either just speaking whatever they thought was a good idea that morning. There's not a lot of really great analysis or sort of like that look that like you get because you go to the yard, 30, 40 games a year, Greg. You know what's on the field. You see it in front of your own eyes, right?
Yeah.
These guys are sitting in a studio and they're looking at highlights. They don't really know what's going on. So,
a lot of it's stat driven. And like I always say, these pad their stats when it doesn't matter. It's the Brandon Belt effect. You hit a home run when you're winning 12-0. It's like you got 20 home runs at the end of the year, but no one realizes none of them mattered.
Right.
And that's the difference in these players. And this guy Haruku and the other channel, I want to meet him face to face and buy him some coffee and sit him down and explain to him that Matt Chapman is great, man. Quit poo-pooing on Chapman. He's a good third baseman. He's like, I don't understand these people. Like, go watch a freaking game, man. It's like these guys. But anyway, I think that, the bias towards San Francisco in a lot of areas has been happening. I live here and I feel it. I think people are happy to beat up San Francisco, beat up the Warriors because they won so many championships, beat up the Giants because they won 3 in 5 years. It's a beauty. San Francisco is like, for me, it's the location that's so amazing with the great weather all year long. Like, it doesn't snow and it doesn't get too hot. It's just, I was born and raised here, so 70 degrees all year is great for me. A hoodie, a flannel, a beanie, I'm good to go, like no matter what month it is. And I like that. I never understood needing seasons. Like, oh, I love it when it snows, and then I love it when it's 120. Like, no, I just like it in the middle all year long. That's me, though. I don't know.
Yep. And misbehaving online here, I was all in on the 1-year Goldschmidt deal too. I thought that would have been a great acquisition, but it didn't work out. So yeah, man, it's good that there's like-minded people that kind of see that and see the value. And like, a lot of people would say, oh, Goldschmidt's too old. It's too much money. It's like, yeah, but if you're signing the guy to a 1-year deal, just like Verlander, the upside is probably going to outweigh the downside of his age, I think. Yeah. So here's the thing, as Giants fans, we have to keep this in mind, is that the Giants perennially never get the credit that they're due, even when they're winning 3 and 5. I mean, you could hear it in the telecasts on the
they got lucky.
Yeah, on the national broadcast with Joe Buck and the old guy, and it was like it almost felt like they were pulling for the other guys to take the Giants out every single series, right? Which just makes it that much more satisfying that the Giants won them, because everybody was like, oh, it's the Giants. They're not going to do anything. Look at this colossal collapse they had in 2002. They never won one in San Francisco. It's like, fuck all that shit, man. Like, the Giants have been a good baseball team more often in the last 20 years than they haven't. And that's the thing to keep in mind. So if people want to discount them, fine. Make us the underdog. We're going to fox you up, Lebowski.
Yeah. Hey, hold on one sec. I'll be right back. I got to turn the oven on.
Cool. Let me see what else we got going on in the chat here. All right. Did I just hide that? All right, babe. I don't know. This one kind of bugs me. I'm not a big Rizzo fan. I don't like that he's leaning in and get plunked all the time. And I think it's too much money, and he's just not a guy I can get behind. For some reason, I think Goldschmidt would be much more my type of dude. Right?
Yeah. So I'm glad you're still talking about that, because I had a thought on this. Do we think at all that Boris screwed us on the Goldschmidt deal because we were focusing and waiting to hear what Corbin Burns said? Like, we couldn't get, with the Giants budget, they're going to get one or the other. I don't think they could get both, but maybe they could. I don't know.
I think there's a page turn with Buster where whatever bad mojo there might have been with Farhan and Boris, I think that the page gets turned, that the slate gets wiped clean to an extent. And remember, the Giants said that they were going to try to reduce payroll this year, which that probably throws up a big red flag to Boris. Like, oh, you guys are cutting down on pay. Well, fuck, I'm going to take all my expensive dudes and go elsewhere. Right? Like, you ain't good to me. I'm not making my 5% at $8 trillion. So I can totally see that being a part of it. I don't know that it's a personal thing. I think Boris generally is out to screw any team that he can get over on. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense to me. I mean, that's his job. Get the most money for the most year, whatever, to make money. So I don't know, man.
You know what I wish that we could do? And Eric might be able to do it, but you know how people compare, how he does those comparisons where it's you have two players' stats next to each other, and then you try to guess who the player is and all that stuff. I would love to compare last year's Bryce Eldridge stats to the year that Luciano had all the hype stats, and then ask people, why will this be different?
We probably can.
I mean, I'm not saying Bryce Eldridge isn't going to be great, but we don't know he's going to be great. And this whole thing about don't get Vladdy because he'll block Eldridge. It's let's cross that bridge when we get to it. We need stars, and we want homegrown ones. And that's why we're all hyped on Eldridge. And I'm right there with you, but I don't think he's a star this year. I think hopefully he gets, they're patient with him, and Sacramento has him up there until he just blows the lid off the place. I don't want to bring anybody up ever again off of a reputation. I want them to play
I think you froze up, Schmitty. Let's see. Yeah, Eric, I love Stathead. The problem is it doesn't do minor leagues, so we're kind of stuck on Eldridge. We can't really bring him up. I just tried to do it, and for some reason it didn't work. So let's see. Let's do this. This ought to be fun. We're gonna do a little comparison here. Take a look at this. Oh, Schmitty's gone. So let's see what we can bring up here in a second. All right, so let's take a look at this for a second. We got Goldschmidt and we got Anthony Rizzo. Well, gee, the scales are kind of tipped one way here, aren't they? Although Goldie doesn't have a ring, it's kind of a drag. Oh, this is tough to do without Schmitty on here. I don't know what happened to his internet. Anyways, what do you guys think about that comparison? That's crazy. Oh, there he is. All right, logging back onto the computer. Give him a second. He'll be in here. Oh, let me go through the comments here a little bit. What the fuck is with all this logic? Logic's everything, man. I mean, in baseball, you have to make critical, logical decisions. And, before they took away some of the managing tools, like putting in the 3-batter minimum for relievers and stuff, you really had to play it a little bit like a chess game. And I think it's still like that to an extent. So having a logical approach is pretty important. Hey, he's back. All right.
Hey, if you guys are into F1 racing, you should have seen me in the pit just now swapping laptops. Sorry about that. I was on an old computer. It can't handle the internet situation well, but I'm back. Sorry. Go ahead.
Cool.
What do you got going?
I was just rambling because we were having a little bit of a debate about Goldschmidt versus Rizzo and who was which one might have been the better option when there were options. And I just feel like, yeah, I mean, Goldschmidt's been around a little bit longer, but I mean, it's pretty lopsided when you look at it, and I think that's just the way it is. So I think we're all done with all that, but I was just trying to kill time while you were out.
I feel like somebody's calling us Spock, and I don't know if that's an insult or not, but what do you mean too much logic?
Well, I was
being too logical? What does that mean?
Well, I was just trying to address the idea of the game being a logic-based game, now he's laughing. Sorry.
Sarcasm. I love sarcasm. I'll tell you that. There's a RKL song called Sargasm. Look it up. It's beautiful.
John Stout. Do you know John Stout, Schmitty?
John Stout. The name sounds familiar, but I don't. Did he die or something? It sounds like you're saying he was. Did you guys happen to know us? Big time remember, hung out in the city all the time around your age. I mean, I see a lot of people, faces that I don't have names for, so I may have seen them around. I've been in this area my whole life, so there's a great chance that we did cross paths. Oh, he did. Okay. I didn't. Yeah, I don't think I knew him because it would have been on my radar if I was connected to him in any way if he passed, because apparently that's what I do is I deal with a lot of death in my life.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's rough getting old. You start losing friends and just losing people that you've met once or twice, and acquaintances or friends of friends. It's like, oh man, kind of sucks. So
yeah.
listen, let's talk about this Eldridge thing for a second, because I think you and I are totally on the same page when we're talking about, do not bring this guy up until he is absolutely 100% ready to play in the major leagues. That means being able to hit with consistency and power, which is what we predict that he's going to have, and being able to field his position and do it with confidence, and then make sure that he's ready to be your guy. Uh-oh. Honeybee's getting
I think
feisty, huh?
the whole show's falling apart. We got laptop problems. The dog's pissed off. I mean, what? And hey,
Yeah.
sorry.
Well, remarkably enough, I shouldn't even say it, but I do have a wood desk here. The power's still on here in LA, at least in my part of town. So
okay.
we're good.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of what you're talking about, though, like, it's like we don't have any faith in a future Hall of Famer, but we're putting all our chips in on a kid that's 19-year-old with a he's hit well in Double-A.
Yep.
Like, I don't know. I'm an optimist, and I have a little bit of like, I'm holding back a little on this, like I want to be there when he comes up, but I don't think he should come up tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things. I mean, look, before this season, he was ranked by Baseball America as being the number 57 prospect in all of baseball, right? 57 is pretty good, but it's not 10 or 12. Okay. I mean, it's one of those things. He's down closer to 100 in the baseball prospectus. So, I mean, it's like, yeah, he's shown some stuff and everybody's super high on him, but we don't know what he's going to be. And I think, we've talked about this a bunch of times, but the whole way in which San Francisco was handling these prospects over the last several years has not been good. They've rushed guys to the majors. They haven't given them a long enough leash or a long enough kind of test drive in the majors to see if they can handle it on a day-to-day basis. Right. And I don't want to see his career get turned in a direction that it shouldn't go in by that. Right.
Yeah, with too much pressure, like let's start him at first base and bat him fourth. He's played 1 week in AAA.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just there's a lot of people really want this guy, and I think I'm right there with you. But when we've seen what happened to Joey Bart, what we've seen happen to David VR, seen what happened to Luciano. These guys were all talked about in the same way, and the way they were handled needs to be a different way that Eldridge is handled. That's just the bottom line with that. And people need to be patient. I mean, 2025 is going to be a let's stretch, let's get it going, let's have some fun, but like, let's see what happens. And the following year after that, who knows what can happen, but we do have to give Buster Posey some time. I hate all the people that are like trying to fire him already. Hasn't even got the spring training. It's just insanity. I don't know back to Verlander though. I was wondering what you think is a number that you're going to be happy with as far as like, does he pitch? I think if he pitches 20, 20 games or more, is that good? Is it like how many games? I think if he pitches 20 plus games, I'm pretty happy. I'm expecting he's going to pitch maybe 15 to 20.
Yeah. 20 starts and above would be definitely worth it, especially if he's pitching at a high level. We know he's not going to be our number one guy. He's going to be like a number 2 or number 3 guy at most.
I think he's going to be the 4 guy.
He could be the 4 guy.
Yeah.
So that being said, yeah, I think it's really going to be about the number of starts and the number of innings that he gives you, and whether he can sort of maybe bump his strikeout totals up a little bit from where they were at this last year. I mean, he didn't get into a ton of games this last year. He had the injuries and stuff.
Mhm.
So, I mean, he only threw what, like 90, 91 innings.
Something like that.
It's not, and I think it's one of the only seasons that he's played where he was sub 150, you know? So yeah, hopefully he's fit and he passes the physical. And I mean, I definitely think it's not a bad deal, and I think we're going to be okay with it, you know?
Yeah, and I think, like, I don't know, call me crazy, but I think they're going to know if he's washed or not. Like, he's going to show up at camp and they're going to know if he's washed or not. They're going to see the radar of what he's pitching. They're going to see his accuracy. They're going to see his curveball. They're going to see this stuff. These guys aren't just blind and going like, throw him in, we'll see what happens. Like, it's not how it works.
Yeah.
And he is a Hall of Famer. And it's not the first thing that comes to mind, but it's invaluable how much he's going to help their staff and their young staff. I was reading something earlier today, which I thought was really great. In 1986, the Giants signed a 41-year-old Steve Carlton. In 1987, the Giants go to the National League Championship. In 2009, the Giants sign a 45-year-old Randy Johnson. In 2010, the Giants win the World Series. In 2025, the Giants sign a 42-year-old Justin Verlander. What will we do in 2026? Like, proof is in the pudding. You can say all you want and you can naysay and be like, this guy's washed and whatever. But 3 Cy Youngs, future Hall of Famer, and World Series experience and all this stuff, I think he's going to help even Bailey. Like, no one even talks about what he'll do for the young catcher. There's just a lot of upside that can happen. And if he's going to be washed, we'll know if he's washed. Like, it's not going to be, I mean, look at Snell last year. You could have said he was washed for the first 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
He didn't do anything for us. It was horrible.
Yeah, and he looked washed in San Diego. You know, I mean, I still stand by my assertion that World Series when he was pitching for Tampa and they yanked him out of that game that he was pitching against the Dodgers, that he never 100% recovered from that, from a confidence and a quality standpoint. It's one of the worst managerial moves I've ever seen in baseball, next to Dusty pulling Russ Ortiz in 2002, right? It's like, what were you thinking, man? Snell was pitching lights out, you know, and I think that can wreck a guy. But look at the second half of the season he had this year. And I'm totally with you. They should have traded him. I mean, at the beginning of September, the Giants looked like they might have a shot at the wild card, but I don't think any of us really thought they could do it. I mean, get some value for him. Look at the Angels, how they burned themselves on the Ohtani thing. They could have traded him for 5 players. You know,
well, I said it on the Eric and Glenn show, and I'll say it here. I didn't have a lot of faith, and I don't have a lot of faith still that the Giants are going to get Roki. But if they do, I'm going 100% credit to Buster and Verlander. The reason he will come to San Francisco, if he does, if he's on the fence, Verlander swung him off the fence right into Oracle. We got a great park. We got a great future. We got, I mean, probably a Hall of Famer POB. We got one of the best catchers in all of baseball, a great framer. We got Dave Righetti right down the road. Like, we got tons of superstars that can mentor this kid into I hope he's thinking about this. God, it will be so drama TV, the best shit ever when he pitches against the Dodgers and Ohtani comes up. I mean, you talk about spiking our rivalry. It would just be so cool.
Yep.
It's tonight, the Dodgers Giants, Friday night at Oracle, Yamamoto versus Roki Sasaki, and up comes Ohtani. Like, it'd be madness. Are you kidding me? Like, Japan might sink. It would be the best.
Yeah, it would be fun. It would be fun. I don't want to see all the big time Japanese guys all on one team, man. Ain't right.
It just isn't right to pull the Kevin Durant, right? Like, okay, they won the World Series. That's where we want to go. They look like they're going to win the World Series again. That's where I'm going to go. Like, that's just, that doesn't seem like a player that wants to like be his own like entity, right? It's like,
Yeah.
I think you want to stand up and be like, we're going to knock those guys down because I'm going to join this team and we're going to be better than them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like sort of thinking, maybe I'm deluding myself a little bit. I like sort of thinking that there are more guys in baseball who want to achieve with a group of guys that they're really tight with and get a ring that way, instead of just signing on with the team that's already built to win the World Series and just walking in there and just accepting the ring. Right. I mean, I like guys that work, man. I like guys that have a work ethic. I like guys like Hunter Pence, guys that bring that intensity. They play their ass off every single day and they work for it, you know, and they always strive to do more, to play better, to work harder. That's the kind of guys that I like. I want guys that they sign with an organization. They're going to dedicate themselves to that fan base, to that organization, to their teammates in that city. And they're going to get into that collective winning mentality as a team. Those are the guys I want. You know, I don't want the 1 year high profile bullshit guy. You know, Verlander's not that guy. Verlander's a guy who's towards the end of his career. He's a quality guy. His head's in the right place. You know, he's got so much experience. Like, that's good. So, yeah, it's hard to be patient after going through those years, but I do think that things are definitely looking better. And I think Buster's only just getting his feet wet now about which direction he's going to take the team in and which players he's going to target. You know,
100%. It's going to take some time. I mean, he's a great baseball player, but that doesn't mean he just can be plugged right into POB and be great. Like, he's got a lot to learn. And not for nothing, some of the rumors too that I've been hearing on the radio with like Grant Bigsby and some of the Bags, they say that ownership around the league is kind of feeling out Buster to see what they can get away with this new POB. And so maybe that was part of it too. Like, we're only going to trade for Eldridge and see if he bites. And he didn't bite. And it's like, oh, maybe this guy knows what he's doing. Let's see if we can, you know. And so there might be a little like gamesmanship out there with some of this stuff as well. I would love for the MLB commissioner to get involved and just say the Dodgers can't get Roki. It's just, we're going to have a Japan max out or something. I don't know how they could say it, but it just, God, it'll suck.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Daniel. Grant Brisby, when he used to write for McCovey Chronicles, it was some of the best baseball writing I had read in years. He's kind of a little different now. I think he tried to turn himself into more of sort of a video media, social media type guy. But when he was on McCovey Chronicles, great. He had that sort of eternal pessimistic attitude about the Giants, but also banging the drum. Let's go. Let's get it at the same time.
He's really on The Athletic, and he is one of my favorite metaphor guys. He does a lot of cool like metaphors in his writing, and I always gravitate to those. Like, it's pretty cool how he kind of formulates this story and like uses other things to kind of help you see it like in a different way.
Yeah.
No more deferred money. I hear you.
Straight up. It's legal tax evasion, and the league is fomenting non-parity by allowing it to go on to the extent that it does. You know, I talked to Stropel last night. I called to check in on him because he lives out in the hills above San Gabriel Valley, really close to the fire.
Dang.
And his parting shot to me was, "Oh, what are you going to do with this 42-year-old? The Dodgers." Stropel just loves to like rub the salt in, you know. But it's like, I was laughing. I was like, "Yeah, dude, we got him. We'll take him. Whatever, you know." Like,
imagine having the two best players in all of baseball and never making the playoffs. That's all you got to tell them. Yeah. The Angels they're just garbage, man. It's just bad.
Yeah, yeah. Well, see, and he sort of jumps. I don't know. Maybe he just does it to fuck with me.
Oh
But
yeah, he
he
does.
jumps into the Dodger bandwagon for a minute just to, it's like SoCal versus NorCal. I'm gonna give it to you, right? Yeah.
Well,
But I just keep wondering, like, if the Dodgers are really going to be able to come up with the money at the end. If their revenues take a downturn, I mean, dude, this fire could like really screw up their attendance and their revenues coming in.
you don't know, right? I mean, Malibu's done. Billy Crystal's house is gone. I saw just so much like, I mean, I'm trying to stay off social media kind of because of how sad it looks and is.
Yep.
It's like it's kind of for my mental, but yeah, my thoughts and prayers go out to all friends and family or anybody that's connected to anyone that's struggling down there. Like I saw these crazy videos where people are just like saving their cats and it's too much for my heart, man. I can't handle it too much.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us, just what we've been through for the last several years with COVID and all these other things, and people are kind of angry and confused and not really, things haven't been going their way. A lot of people are prone to sort of going like, oh, it's just Hollywood and a bunch of rich people and who cares. It's like, no, man. The whole of the Palisades burned to the ground. You see the video footage, the helicopter footage is like there's nothing left. And those aren't all houses of rich, well-to-do celebrity types, man. They're everyday people like you and me. And it's something to keep in mind. Like you put yourself in their shoes for a minute. It's like some of these people were trying to get out on these roads of the Palisades. The roads in and out are so bad, people had to jump out of their cars and run for their lives. Right. I mean, this is some real shit. So take that into consideration. There will be ways to help people out if you're able to. It would be great. I can't recommend any because I don't really know exactly what's legit and what's not right now. And it's still so fresh. But yeah, I mean, it's keep those people in your thoughts. And it's just like Maui, man. It's really sketch and bad. And
I was going to say, wait till the conspiracy theorists come out and start talking about the lasers from the sky that started the fire.
Well, I hate to even bring this up, but they did an analysis and a report last year. 85% of the fires in Los Angeles County are started by homeless people.
Right.
Okay? This is just the reality. There are people living out in the bushes everywhere, cooking hot dogs over burning paper napkins or what have you. And then you do it during the midst of a pretty heavy Santa Ana condition. And this is what you get, So I don't want to get into anything political, but I'm just saying like, it's a bad situation. And I think everybody would be, be good if you just kind of think about those people and send some good positive energy towards the people that need it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, what do you got? Anything left? I think have we covered most stuff? I don't know if
oh wait, we haven't talked about what you claimed was my favorite move of the off season.
Oh, that's correct. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but Christian's been hollering about Casali and Murphy and how the Giants need a backup catcher. And a few days ago, we signed the one and only Sam Huff. Don't know much about him.
I wonder if he has a lucky G-string like Aubrey Huff. I guess we're going to find out, right?
That's what somebody said. Nobody with the last name of Huff should be allowed in Oracle.
We're going to have to dig up that highlight of Aubrey Huff trying to scramble back to first place, doing a full scorpion to the bag and coming up a foot short. Do you remember that?
Yes.
He was trying to paddle it in after that. It was great, man. Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing. The Giants, they had players who, went on later in life. It's like, oh, man, really? We had that guy? But, the memories are everything, right? We're in the memory-making business. Well, fuck, they've made a lot of them. Aubrey Huff certainly did, right? So it's good shit all the way around, man. Sam Huff, who knows? He can probably out-hit Casali. He can probably stay on the field, unlike Murphy. So it's a win-win.
I want to bring Austin Wynns back. I just love him. He's just
where did he go? I can't remember.
He went to every team in the National League West except for one. He was like, I don't think he was on the Dodgers, but he was on the Diamondbacks, the Rockies. Maybe he wasn't on the Padres, but he definitely was Diamondbacks or Rockies. So 3 out of 5. Yeah, there was one other thing I wanted to touch on. I guess I forgot.
Need to make a second espresso there with your new machine.
Ooh, I did get the Nespresso machine, and I'm enjoying it. I bought this little orange espresso cup so I can be all cute.
There
Matches my black and orange beanie, kids.
Sweet.
No, but what do you think, like, as far as what's left? I guess that's the question. Should we expect no more free agent signings? Should we, if there's any additions that maybe is going to probably come from trade? Here's my thoughts on it. I think if they can't get a bat through free agency, there's not that many left. So if it's not Santander, there's a few. We don't need to go through all the names, but if they don't do that, they can't do that. I wouldn't mind seeing them if it fits into the budget that's like whatever's left, 25 mil, I think's left. Get Tanner Scott. Just make the bullpen like lights out.
Yeah. I mean, free agents, I mean, what's left? There really isn't that much out there that's fits holes that the Giants have. And they're pretty much kind of overstocked just in terms of sheer manpower right now. They've got a full house. The 40 man is getting overloaded, right? And some guys are going to have to go. They haven't really been updating that recently. So I don't know what's going to go on. I think there's possibility of some trades. I'm not really sure what that looks like right now. But I kind of feel like they've got the pieces they need and the depth. And now it's just sifting it out in spring training and figuring out who's going to be in there, you know? And I think we always keep coming back to that thing. We want everyday guys, and they're going to have to determine who those guys are. And you have a couple of utility guys, right? That's it. There's plenty of pitching there, and they can even dump some of the pitching that they have, you know, not that it's necessarily in a trade, but I mean, just to kind of clear roster space for the guys that really have earned it and are going to live up to the promise.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'll just say this for the last time. If you compare Matt Chapman to the third baseman of whatever other team Rocky's thinking about going to, it's not as good defensively. Willie Adames, shortstop? Well, you gonna, I don't know. Who do the Mariners have? It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, okay. And then catcher, Patrick Bailey. I just think nobody's talking about Roki coming to the Giants, but it could happen.
Yeah, well,
there's a lot of upside for him.
Yeah, you start burning the white sage and the I think you're supposed to burn green and white candles for that kind of thing. Get the mojo going.
I'll go burn it tomorrow morning at the Gaylord Perry statue. If you guys want to tune in at around 6:30 a.m., I'll be over there.
Look, you know, let's just look at it this way. For any pitcher that the Giants might be trying to get and looking at what the benefits are to that pitcher and coming to the Giants, okay, you get to pitch at Oracle half your starts, okay, pitcher-friendly park. The left side of the infield, these guys are defensive monsters, right? Outfield, lots of speed, guys who can run balls down in the gap. I mean, there's a lot of positives there for an incoming pitcher if he's really looking at it. You know, if like we were talking about the guys who just want to get a ring, if you're just strictly looking to come to a team that's championship bound in 1 year after you get there, you know, save it. But if you really want to pitch in a place where you're going to have longevity, you're going to have a lot of good guys backing you up and a pitcher friendly yard. I mean, what's not to like about that? You know, and the Giants are going to spend, I mean, for the right guy, they're going to pay the right money. They may even overpay. So, I mean, it's...
yeah, that's the other thing that I think no one talks about. Like everybody, see, this is the part that really bothers me. And I think I'll end with this. Think about what it is you truly want before you beat up what you have. I think that if you really want a star on the team, then you have just gotten 2. And Justin Verlander may be old, but he is definitely a star. He's a high profile player, and he's going to bring a lot of attention wherever he goes and whatever he does. And these are the type of people that people are clamoring for. So let's not expect the top dog right out of the gates. Let's build from the bottom, get our core built, and then we'll put up a top piece like booyah. So that's I think that's Buster's idea, is pitching and defense with a star or 2 that helps bring another star next year. And pretty soon we got like better play, and that's how it works. And it's steps. It's not like 0 to 100, it's like we got to do these things. And experience for all this youth. I mean, if you did get Sasaki and Eldridge turns into what he's supposed to, and Jung-Hoo Lee is this charismatic young Korean superstar, like all of a sudden you're starting to have some real excitement in the field. You bring over a Tucker or a Vladimir Guerrero, you're competing with everybody. I mean, it's not that far-fetched to be pretty close in 1 year, but we can't expect it all tomorrow or yesterday.
Yep, absolutely.
So there you have it, everybody. There you have it.
Yeah. Well, shit, man. We'll just have to see what happens in the next couple of weeks. Now it's the new year, things I think are going to start ramping up. And
hope so.
We'll see that the rest of the free agents are going to kind of either slide off the table or get signed somewhere. And then, dude, spring training is right around the corner. Let's get some baseball going.
Oh, man, I can't wait to have the shows after a game. That's going to be fun. Yeah. So thank you guys, everybody. I'll say the same spiel I always say, but it's true, man. I really appreciate you all being here. I appreciate the likes and the subscribes and like any word you can tell to other people that might enjoy the program. We're just trying to grow because we want more talk about the game we love. That's it, so big love, and probably see you on Eric and Glen. I've been going over there pretty much every night for at least a little bit. And I just love talking baseball. I love the Giants. I'm 2 blocks from the stadium, and I cannot wait for that first pitch of opening day.
Yeah. And thank you for all the comments. I mean, that's like, it kind of gives us some conversation topics. Love the humor that you guys inject. I'm not sure where our Dodgers fan disappeared to. He was here for a minute and split.
Here we go.
Yeah. Oh, there he is. Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on board and sticking with us. It's great. And feel free, any topics, any comments, always throw it out there. Don't be afraid to ask questions. We don't have all the answers, but we certainly can debate it and talk about it for as long as our breath holds out, right?
Yeah, and if there's anything that you think like would be a fun addition to the program that we may be able to implement or just whatever, happy to do that stuff. We're definitely going to try to get some friends or people that are fans of other teams on, so it won't always be 100% Giants, although that's our love. I love talking baseball, so I'll have a Cardinals fan on here and talk about like, where's Arenado going to go? Is he going somewhere? I heard he's opening up his mind and he's going to let more teams get at him. Could he be the Giants' first baseman?
Yeah. So I think you've got an X account set up, right, Schmitty?
Yes.
For Skaters on Baseball. So we got an X account. We got an Instagram account. There may be a Facebook account.
Should I stop calling it Twitter? I better put X, huh?
I gotta call it X. It's been
there's a Facebook account. There's Facebook, X, and Instagram, I think, are all Skates on Base.
Yeah. And please DM our social media team at any of those outlets.
That is right. Hit us with that DM. And as always, stay safe out there, especially if you're in Southern California and have to travel or be outdoors or whatever. I mean, that stuff looks scary. I think I'm going to pass up going to Orange in a week unless it totally changes. So just be safe.
You could be good. I'm gonna have to send you some more teaser videos. See if I can get you down there. I'll make Fat Dave Swift get out of my fucking way next.
MRZ, I'm coming for you, buddy.
He's burning it up down there. Right on, everybody. Thanks a lot. I think it's adios pelota time.
Adios, pelota.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Skaters on Baseball. If you liked what you heard, please spread the word, give us a good review, or hell, blow us up on your social media if you're down. Follow us at Skates on Base on Instagram for baseball news and other fun stuff. We love comments and listener participation, so bring it with an audio clip or an email. You can email us at skatersonbase@gmail.com. We're everywhere you get your podcasts, and we'll be here all season long.
Let's go, San Francisco. Let's go, Giants.
I'm excited to give everything that I have for these next 6 seasons and, see where it takes us.
Adios, pelota!
See you soon. Thank you.
And I am forever a Giant.